So finally here we are for the Monaco Grand Prix. This is already the 7th round of the season. Matt is the championship leader, and also there is no way he can possibly lose the lead of the championship, because Matt is leading by 36 points over Owen. So he can DNF and still keep the lead, but at the same time this is Monaco, so it's always a very tricky race. Anything can happen, so this might be a good chance for his opponents to get a little closer in the standings. So Belton Matt already out. From the way it looks, he impacted with his front suspension, so he is unable to continue, and it was his out lap, so he didn't even set a lap time, and he will have to start last. We saw that M. Yates, it was Papa Whiskey, we have another DNF in qualifying in less than a minute, and M. Yates also had his lap ruined. So let's ride on board with Alpomut K literally flying around Monaco, kind of missed the apex. In the meanwhile, Orb King set fastest lap. So Alpomut K on the main straight, and Alpomut K goes up in first place. So Alpomut K, Orb King a little pull, but let's also wait for Jayor, Matt and the other drivers. This is Orb King, but to be fair, he set his lap on medium tires, that's why he was 2 seconds slower. We're on board with Jayor now, who already has a lap time. Jayor half a second off Alpomut K, so he really is trying his best to find those tenths somewhere. It's also true that Monaco has a lot of corners, so it's relatively easy to improve your lap time, because you have a lot of corners to work on. So Jayor pushing on the limit. 6 minutes left, approaching the final part of the track. There is a car ahead, but the car decides to drive back to the pits, so it didn't cause any issue. Now Jayor on the main straight. Jayor takes first place, so Jayor did find that half a second, and Jayor took the lead. Now we only have to wait for Matt, because Matt doesn't have a lap time yet. He really is struggling. Alpomut K went up in first again, so Jayor's leadership lasted very short. 2 minutes left, and Matt doesn't have a lap time yet. Unbelievable what we are seeing, because Matt really is struggling, and he had to abort a few laps because of mistakes. He also had damage before, so Matt really is having a tough day in qualifying. He also cut the corner here, so this lap won't be valid. Theoretically he can start another 2 laps, but it also depends how much fuel he is carrying on board. So Matt starts another qualifying lap. 1 minute left, 1 minute and enough time for another lap after this one. it would be crazy if he doesn't manage to complete a lap. So let's stay on board with Matt. Hughes moves, retires from the session. Yellow flag in sector 1 and 2. There is only 40 seconds left, only 40 seconds left. Matt really needs a lap. Even top 5 would be good at this point, because at the moment he is starting outside the top 10. Even this lap will be invalidated. So Matt decides to drive back to the pits. He also crashed. No, he also crashed. So Matt is officially out of qualifying. Matt didn't set a lap time. So he will be starting outside the top 10. Unbelievable. Now we have Alpamut K on track, trying to improve his lap time. Jayor also is on track, so we might witness some change in the order. He really aimed for the wall there. Oh, Alpamut K made a mistake, but he managed to save the car. No damage, but that mistake ruined his lap. So Alpamut K has checkered the flag. Jayor also completed his lap, and Jayor didn't manage to improve Alpamut K's lap time. And now Orbeking on the main straight. Goes up in third, while Lucas is already out. So Alpamut K, Jayor, Orbeking, Lucas LA, Liverpool is in the pits. M. Yates, I don't think he will have the pace to give Alpamut K a challenge, so it should be pole for Alpamut K. It looks like it will be a wet race. 30 seconds left until the session begins, and we will have to see how wet it is, because I still don't know what kind of tires the drivers have decided to go for, but it's a wet race nonetheless. It's going to be tricky. Monaco in the wet is going to be tricky. So it looks like most of the drivers are on inter tires. Yes, most of the drivers, if not everyone, on inter tires. It looks like everyone is on inter tires. So Alpamut K starts the formation lap in P1 and keeps the lead going into turn 1. Maybe this is good for Matt, because a wet race can give him more opportunities. So Alpamut K takes the first spot on the grid. Jayor right behind. Like I was saying, this might be good conditions for Matt, because he needs more opportunities. It's almost impossible to overtake in Monaco, regardless of how fast you are in the dry, because there is physically no room for overtakes. So this might be what Matt needed and needs. So, but now it's the moment of the start. The lights are beginning to come on. It's lights out and away we go. Looks like Alpamut K manages to keep the lead going into turn 1. So Alpamut K keeps the lead. Looks like no one was involved in collisions, so everyone should be safe. Alpamut K, then Jayor kept second place, so Alpamut K leading ahead of Jayor. and we saw a Mercedes. It was not Matt, so here we have a Mercedes with some damage. Virtual safety car. What's happened? We already have the first crash, but it's expected to see collisions in Monaco. We have Papa Whiskey retired with a broken suspension and a broken front wing. His car was completely broken against the wall. So, and we have the other Mercedes with a broken front wing. Will try to drive back to the pits, and in the meanwhile Matt is up in 10th position. So virtual safety car off. Alpamut K restarts. Alpamut K leading with 6/10 over Jayor. Then Lucas LA, graphics back to normal. Lucas LA, Orb King, Little Paul, Jamie James, M Yates in 7th place, who is back in the league. M Yates, Crossidale, Matt up in 9th place, so Matt already has gained 2 places, so pretty good the first lap for him. Of course he won't have a crazy fast pace now that he is in traffic, so Alpamut K will be able to pull a gap. He is pulling a gap from Jayor, who looks like he doesn't have the same pace as Alpamut K, because the gap is going up and up. M Yates now on board behind Jamie James. Matt is coming. He is about 2 seconds away from M Yates. Virtual safety car again. What happened? It looks like no one has retired. Maybe Burton Matt retired, but I couldn't find the broken car, so maybe this is what caused virtual safety car. So lap 3, Alpamut K already with 1 second and 5/10 advantage over Jayor, and also it's the same advantage that Jayor has over Lucas, and pretty much the same advantage that Lucas has over Orb King. So yellow flags in sector 3. Let's see if something else has happened. DNF for the other Mercedes. It's CHZ. So the other Mercedes is out of the race, while Alpamut K is pulling away from Jayor. Jayor slightly touched the wall but didn't have any consequence. So Alpamut K, Jayor, Lucas at the beginning of lap 4, and Matt is still in 8th place, really close to M Yates, on the main straight. Of course there is no DRS in the rain, so Matt will have to work for the overtake, work hard. Matt really close to M Yates. Also M Yates is a very tough driver to overtake because he always defends very harshly. Lap 4 and Matt is all over the back of M Yates. He tries to attack him on the inside and there was a collision, so Matt and M Yates collided. Does Matt have any damage? I can't tell yet. But maybe because he hit M Yates rear tire. Let's see what happens. Also maybe let's wait for a better camera angle. Matt struggling with understeer on the exit. He looks like he has a reduced grip, so he maybe will have to pit. He hit M. Yates again. He hit M. Yates again, so he has to stop. Matt has to stop, and he has his front wing changed. Of course, he decides to go for inter tires again because it's the only good tire in these conditions. So Matt now rejoining in outside the top 10. So what Matt did in the first laps was useless. Now he has to start from scratch again. So Matt rejoins in 12th position behind Spike. Lap 8, Lucas managed to overtake Jayor. Lucas ahead of Jayor. So Jayor went down in 3rd place. Alpmut K, Lucas, Jayor, Orb King, Litzpool, M. Yates, Jimmy James, Matt up already in 8th place. So another good comeback from him, hoping that he won't have any similar issues like before. Scaife in 9th place and Hughes Moves in 10th place. Now this is Jayor all over the no, not really all over the back of Lucas, because he is quite far from Lucas. So Lucas with a solid advantage over Jayor. Lap 16, Matt up in 6th place, and he now is trying to catch up with Liverpool. So Matt trying to catch up with Liverpool. We saw M. Yates a few meters behind Matt in the camera. Matt really driving well, but of course his starting position didn't help. Of course his starting position didn't help. Maybe a safety car could help him and give him the opportunity to fight even for the win, maybe, or for the podium. Now Matt really getting closer and closer to Liverpool. That was a lapped car. It wasn't Liverpool's Red Bull. So Matt still in 6th place. He is 5 seconds away from Liverpool. Also Matt maybe will have to stop again because he had his tires changed very early in the race, so he might not be able to make these ones last till the end. So let's also pay attention to his strategy. There is a car sideways. It's Nick Van Gelder. He hit the wall and has a broken front wing. Now Matt Jayor pitted, so Jayor in 6th place rejoins the track in 6th place. So Matt went up in 5th. Let's see if Alpmut K responds to this move from Jayor, because Jayor might be able to lap faster than Alpmut K on new tires. while Alpamut K has been wearing these tires since the beginning of the race, so his tires are 18 laps old. Now Matt in the traffic, because he has Liverpool ahead of him, and also Orby King, so Matt has already caught up with Liverpool and Orby King. Really astonishing pace from Matt all over the back of Liverpool. Let's see if he can overtake him. Yes, Matt immediately overtakes Liverpool. He is on another level of pace. So Matt already up in fourth, despite the fact that he was starting outside the top 10. Very good race pace from him, and now he can attack Orby King. Alpamut K on lap 19. Alpamut K decides to pit. Still wet conditions, so he has no choice but to fit inter tires again. So inter tires again for Alpamut K. Rejoins the track without issues in first place. So Alpamut K totally dominating this race in first place. Lap 26, Matt is up in third place. He is all over the back of Jayor, and he of course has better race pace, so Matt really trying to find the room for an overtake. But like I said in qualifying, like I said at the beginning of the race, it's always hard to overtake in Monaco. Even when you are faster than the car ahead, you need to find the room somewhere, so it will be difficult for Matt to overtake Jayor, because Jayor is also pretty quick. Matt is faster, but Jayor is also quick. So now Matt trying to find the room somewhere. He hit the wall with his rear tire and he spun. So another issue for Matt, but he didn't have any damage in that collision. He didn't get any damage in that collision, so Matt can carry on, can continue the race. Jayor and Matt back to the pits at the same time, because the track is getting dry, so some other drivers already have decided to switch to dry tires, and they rejoin in the same order. So Jayor rejoins the track, Matt rejoins the track too, in the same order as when they drove back to the pits. Matt got a penalty because he crossed the white lane on the exit, so penalty for Matt, 5 seconds will be added to his lap time at the end of the race. Matt, after that mistake, he was fast enough to catch Jayor again. Now he also has a penalty, so it's been a kind of a messy race for Matt. A very good amount of difficulties and problems for Matt that he has had to face in this race. Understeer on the exit. Alpamut K, by the way, is leading with 50 seconds. Alpamut K totally on another planet. Matt was the only one who could keep up with him, maybe even go faster. but Alpomutke, thanks to Matt, is dominating, because Matt was starting outside the top 10, so he wasn't able to give Alpomutke a challenge. Now Matt behind Jayor. Maybe a safety car could give Matt the chance to fight for the win, but he needs one right now, not at the very end of the race, or the race might end under safety car. So he needs a safety car as soon as possible, but even a second place will do, considering that he was starting in 11th place. So Alpomutke, Jayor, Matt on lap 32. Really tricky conditions, because the track is still kinda wet, not wet enough for inter tires, dry enough for dry tires, but still kinda wet. That's why they are all over the place. Crossidale gets a penalty for too many warnings, but Jayor looks like he can't get past Jayor. Matt looks like he can't get past Jayor. He also has a penalty. To be honest, at the moment it looks like Jayor is a little quicker than Matt. Another lap goes by. Another lap goes by, but at this moment I'm starting to think that Matt doesn't want to take any risks. Maybe he's happy with his third place after all the issues he's had to face in qualifying and also during the race. So Alpomutke sets fastest lap in the meanwhile. So Alpomutke still pushing. It's pretty nice when someone keeps pushing in Monaco, even though you have such an advantage, because there is always a chance that you might make a small mistake and you end up into the wall. So nice game from Alpomutke. M. Yates in 7th place. Good drive from him too. And Matt has his front wing changed, so another issue from for Matt. Another issue from for Matt. He also had to wait 5 seconds, because 5 seconds would have been added to his final result, but he pitted, so the mechanics couldn't touch his car for 5 seconds because of the penalty. So Matt rejoins in 7th place, stopped twice in very few laps. Very good race from him in terms of race pace, but too many mistakes in qualifying, too many issues in the race. So he started 11th and he probably will finish 7th. Last lap for Alpmut K, who has been driving brilliantly this race. Really, of course, the fact that Matt was not close helped him, but he has been perfect in every way, no mistakes, perfect lap in qualifying after Jayor gained for a few seconds the lead. Alpmut K still driving on the limit on the last lap, and Alpmut K takes the win at Monaco ahead of Jayor, who will be who still has who has yet to finish. Jayor still in sector 2. That is the advantage that Alpmut K had over Jayor. Really a beautiful performance from Alpmut K. Orb King lapped, also Liverpool was lapped, so Jayor still has to finish because he wasn't lapped. Lucas also wasn't lapped, so they have to complete the race. Matt was lapped, so he will get checkered flag at the end of this lap. So 7th place for him. M. Yates has already completed the race. So now Matt in the final corners. Matt takes 7th place after a really difficult race. Maybe he will try to do better next time. Crossidale locks up on the last lap. Crossidale finishes behind Matt. Crossidale behind Matt. 8th place. Driver of the day according to the game is Matt. I beg to differ because he made too many mistakes, but he was the fastest. Maybe it would have been nice to see him fighting Alpmut K, but Alpmut K takes the win of the Monaco Grand Prix.